Hello to Twitch, hello to the YouTubes. Just waiting for YouTube to kick in. So hello, how's everybody doing? How's things? How's your week been? What have you been up to? I have been up to a fair bit actually. I have a lot of projects on the go, and lots to test, lots to do, lots to film, lots to write for, and just a whole lot of stuff actually. So yeah, how has everybody's week been? That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, how is everybody? Hello Phil, how you doing, man? I did post that. Yeah, cool. Right, sorted then. On time for once. Indeed, you're about as on time as I am. In fact, I mean, I've been here for like 30 seconds more, but this is the same thing. How has your week been, good sir? Is the YouTube chat wanna play games? I guess not. Yeah. Also, YouTube chat integration with Streamlabs broken. Oh no, it's coming in. It's wait. Ah, no. The YouTube chat, which for me is over here, for you it's here, is coming up on stream quicker than it's coming up on my YouTube tab. That's interesting. This should be fun. Hello, your lighting is not good. I'm aware. It's because of the camera. If I turn the lighting off, then it looks like this, and it's absolutely awful. And if I turn this on, then this is what I get. Also, if I try and manually set the exposure down a set, it starts flickering like crazy, and so yeah, I'm planning on getting a new camera, which will resolve all of those issues. But until then, gonna have to deal with this. Hello, Mark. How you doing, man? Good news, my 6900 XT Nitro Plus arrived yesterday, and it's unreal, fast, energy efficient, quiet fans. Nice! Is the Nitro Plus, that's an aftermarket design, right? Because the one that I had is the, which not Founders Edition, reference design, that's probably it. But yeah, I had the reference design, and that was absolutely insane. Ban the coil whine is so loud under gaming it's going back. Ah, yes, I could see why that would be an issue. Yeah, fair. Add a nice cream gel for your lights. It'll take the edge off it. So it is a what you call it, variable temperature light. But the problem is not necessarily with the light source, but with the camera. Where'd you go? That one. This is as humanly warm as I can make it, and it's still blowing me out. Although it does kind of look a bit better, so yeah, alright. Doesn't AMD have stability issues with new games? As far as I'm aware, no. They did have some issues about a year ago, I think, give or take, that were mostly with black screen issues on the Ryzen RX 5700 type cards. So yeah, but in terms of the current generation cards, I can't say that I've heard anything, nor any of my testing so far. Although saying that, I've only had one or two cards, so. Fair play, Mark. That's understandable why you'd want it. Hey, I was wondering if you use the Analog Huntsman and if you have any thoughts about it. Yesterday's video, my friend. Where is it? I did an entire video that you should check out. There you go. Yaz, you're well, come on, brain. Are you from Scotland? I am indeed. I'm from Scotland too. Nice. Anywhere in particular? And love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Hello, Derek. Had a good night last night. Won a 5800X and the Aorus X570 Pro. Nice one. Where'd you win it from? Everyone know AM4 B450 chipset drivers update is out. Correct. There were, so I did a full video on, I think it was late last year. When was it? Pretty sure it was. Can't find it now. There were already BIOS updates late last year for the... No, I can't find it. Alright, cool. Well, there was BIOS updates late last year for the older B450 boards and that sort of stuff. So that is... Still can't find it. I don't know where it is. Anyway, they are available. More sites are becoming... more boards are getting updates as well. So I can't speak today, apparently. Blantyre new East Bride. Ah! I know the place well. Nice. Hello, Esteban. And hello, yet another user. How you doing, man? Hello, Simon. How you doing? Intel claims that Rocket Lake has a 19% IPC improvement over Comet Lake. Does that mean that i5 11600K should be better than Ryzen 5600? So we're yet to see what is essentially real-world benchmarks, right? As we have seen from the last couple launches, Intel hasn't been the best at providing an overly accurate representation of their processor's performance when doing product launch events, right? So from what we know, in theory, yes, it should be ever so slightly faster, should be ever so slightly better for gaming, perhaps. In practice, we won't know until they're out, which is the difficulty. Ah, I found it. There is the video on B450 and X470 with a Ryzen 5000 chip. There you go. I have a long-winded question. Would you be able to help if you don't mind? Sure, go for it. I'll do my best. I'm looking for a cooler, CPU cooler, 50 to 60 pounds. I could get a 120mm AIO or an insanely cheap 240mm Cooler Master one. So it depends what Cooler Master one. I would check out reviews of that specific cooler that you're looking for to make sure that it doesn't have any, I would say, obvious design flaws that could indicate it failing or, more specifically, leaking, that would cause an issue. Otherwise, what you call it? It depends what CPU you have as well, and how effective of a cooler you essentially need. Yeah, another user. I can't say that I've seen many leaks about Zen 4. What have you heard? Hello. I've been meaning to flash my Vega 56, but is it really worth doing? So I never bothered flashing any Vega 56s, mostly because I think I had one for about 5 minutes and then it was sent back. So I can't tell you from first-hand experience, but if I remember rightly, you could flash the Vega 56 to the 64, and if I remember rightly, that was a fairly reasonable performance increase. And while it would obviously be, what would you call it, an out-of-warranty activity, I suspect that you're probably already on the edge, if not well past your warranty period, and so the only trouble would be the chance of bricking it while doing so. Although, as far as I'm aware, as long as you don't, have the power go out, it should be fine. Is it polite to flash the loaner card? No, is the short answer. I have a question regarding exporting files. Ryzen 3600, 1080 Ti, OC, record and stream OBS, 1280 by 1000, 60 FPS. When I watch my recording. Okay, I'm going to have to wait for the second half of that comment. They're claiming 20 to 30% IPC increase and a viable 5 GHz all cores. 8 core with threads. So, the notion that AMD could get essentially another 20 to 30% IPC out of what is the same base Zen architecture, all in one jump, seems a little optimistic. I was already very surprised at seeing 19% extra for this generation. So to see 30 to 40%, 20 to 30%, sorry, again, does seem like a bit of a stretch. With that said, that is only looking at it from a heuristic, like statistical analysis standpoint, not from any level of actual technical knowledge on processor design beyond I know roughly what a transistor is. Right, so statistically, that doesn't sound overly plausible to me, although with the combination of, like you say, a smaller 5nm process, which, to make it clear for those who don't know, 5nm used to refer to the actual transistor size. Now it's more of a I guess a bit more marketing than it is practical or an actual measurement. So for example, an Intel what was it, 10nm is pretty close to GlobalFoundries TSMC 7nm in terms of transistor size. So the measurements don't necessarily mean the same thing or mean, you know, whatever, but with better process to use, hypothetically that could allow for better performance. The thing that I would probably struggle with is actually the higher the higher clock speed, because especially if they are decreasing the transistor size, that does lend itself more to instability. They do-ish. They use 14nm for the IO dies, and then they're currently using 7nm for the what you call it? Come on, brain. For the actual cores themselves and the cache. That's the one. Hello, Luca. I have a 9700F. I don't need an insane one. I can get a Freezer 34, an Octo D15S, but goes up to 165mm height, and my case only supports 167. So 2mm clearance is okay or not. If it's inside the clearance window, it should be fine. In practice, it's kind of up to you. It's been a very long time since I've used an air cooler in a system properly, so I'm back out of that one. But yeah, I think it depends on the case. I would personally prefer an air cooler for that sort of budget and form factor, and the Arctic Freezer 34 Esports Duo or the new Arctic Freezer 50 might fit as well. Might be in your price range, I can't remember. But I've had very good experience with the Freezer 34. I've been looking into new monitors, can't find the LG GN950 anywhere. Any idea where to look? Scotland-based buyer. Hello to all the Scottish people who are watching today. How you doing, guys? So the answer to that is there. If you've tried the usual places, the usual marketplaces, actually a very good tool you can use is PC Part Picker. If you go to the UK subversion, which is, I think it's uk.pcpartpicker.com. If you go there, you can go to find product directly, go to the monitor section, find the monitor, and then it will list out any of the places that have them in stock, or at least have them listed, and then you can scan through them and see what's in stock. If not, and it's all on one page, nice and easy to find. Basically, when I export videos on YouTube, it's really blurry. I get a message from Filmora saying the resolution or frame rate does not match the this media setting. So you said 1280 by 1080. Do you mean 1920 by 1080? Or do you mean 1280 by 1080? Because 1280 by 1080 is a very weird resolution to be recording and gaming at. Hello, Jim. Apologies if I missed anything. As always, feel free to re-thing your comments. Phone on silent. There we go. It's almost square. Yeah, I know. That was the thing that was confusing me. Hello, Joe. How you doing, man? How's things? How am I finally growing the beard out? No, I'm just lazy. It's the most part. Well, in particular, essentially, ADHD means I don't really I can focus very well on a single thing, but then I forget all of the other things to do. Like I don't clean this part of my desk until Thursday at 7:45 p.m. At which point it gets cleaned, and then at Thursday at 9:15, there's none of the things back here again. So it's shaving and the other normal things is. I forget, basically. Do you like the new R8 NAV10 dying kind, unfortunately? Do you like the Huracan more? Are they not the same car? So, I like the R8, but I like the R8 in I'd probably buy a Gen 1 or Gen 2 one, rather than a current one. The Huracan is definitely a show piece. Undoubtedly, it's ludicrously fast, but I've driven a Gallardo. It was the LP 560, so 560 horsepower, and yeah, which was V10 as well. It goes, but it also didn't feel. So I've also driven a McLaren 570S, and when you get in the McLaren and you drive it around the track, every input that you do has to be perfect, not because the car isn't set up right or whatever, but because the car is actually capable of translating your inputs really well. But when I drove the Gallardo, it felt very can't quite describe it, very friendly, if that makes sense. Very easy to drive, and your inputs didn't necessarily match up with the exact output of the car, if that makes sense. There's a barrier in between what you do with the car and what the car does. There's this kind of layer in between, whereas with the 570S, anything you do is translated very directly to the road, and you will understeer or crash or oversteer or any of those things if you don't do it right. So yeah. Gallardo was Audi engineer second Lambo. Well, so they did. Lambo were making the Gallardo before Audi bought them, if I remember. And then it was the second gen Gallardo that Audi started touching, touching up. Sorry, 1920 by 1080. Got you. That makes more sense. So, maybe you can pop to Banter and help me solve the problem. Sadly, I'm not in Scotland anymore. But what do you call it? So 920 by 1080 makes sense. 1080p 60 FPS should be fine. I would check your export settings in DaVinci and in what do you call it? In Filmora, and make sure that it is actually outputting at 1080p 60, and check that your sequence settings are also set to 1080p 60 FPS, because if your sequence isn't set up right, then it won't look good when you export it. I'd love to drive a supercar. Used to race Caterham every other weekend. Nice one, that's sweet. I can imagine it's a different experience altogether. So I've driven, I basically, you know, all those supercar days, you know, the vouchers, you know, Virgin, Red Letter days, whatever else. I've basically done one from each of the providers, which means I've driven something like 20 different supercars. If you want a guide to those sorts of events, be aware that if you ever get one of those vouchers, there is always added extras. So there is an insurance waiver that costs £10 or £15 or whatever, that you have to pay for on the day when you get there. They'll also offer you the video recording, which, while that might seem like a really good idea, of the two that I've either bought or had bought for me, both of the USB sticks that I ever had almost immediately corrupted, and I couldn't get any of the footage off. So take that one with a grain of salt. Also, the video quality is often dreadful, otherwise, it will depend on the instructor that you have with you. Some will absolutely scream in your ear about every single thing that you do, and others will just let you enjoy the car as long as you're not, you know, being too done with it. So yeah, honestly, the best driving experience is, it's not a supercar, but the best on-track driving experience voucher thing that I've done is the BMW M4 day at Donington. You can do it at Brands Hatch and what's the other one? Anywhere that MSV owns the track. So Donington, I don't think you can do it at Cadwell. I'm pretty sure they own that. Anyway, all of those places you can do it. No, you can't. Oh, and do I like all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive? Well, I drive an Audi S4, so all. Although rear-wheel drive is a lot of fun. Rear-wheel drive for a track car that you want to, you know, track. All-wheel drive for the daily that can take you across, I don't know, the continent. Ah, yeah, that's a very nice car. My dad owned a 911 Carrera 4 964, so the last air-cooled one. Non-turbo, but still, nice car. Hey, isn't this meant to be a tech stream? Oh, Mickey, seems to be out of stock across the board. Fair play. It might just be a case of that it's out of stock properly, or it's it's going to be replaced with a new model version, whatever else. There can be a lot of reasons why they're potentially out. I feel like my 3080 is being underutilized at 1440p, 140 Hz. Potentially. Wow, is literally everyone from Scotland watching? This is unusual. Hello. How you doing, man? So I haven't used Filmora, and it's been a very long time since I even opened DaVinci. I primarily use Premiere myself, but that might be something to Google just to make sure. Wish I was in Scotland. It's nice. And the house prices are way cheaper. I'm Danish. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we have some variety. And also, hello, Essentialist. How you doing, man? How's things? Apple bought 60% of TSMC's 5nm. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if that how much that leaves for AMD. Because Nvidia are using Samsung 8nm for their RTX cards. So yeah. Everyone says 3080 is overkill for 1080p, but it reaches 120 to 160 FPS in demanding games. So it would be the general consensus is if you want 144 to 240 FPS, then you generally are playing more esports titles, which generally aren't as sort of laborious to run. So in practice, it's in practice, the 3080 would be excellent for those sorts of esports titles and probably would be overkill. But it depends what game you're playing and what frame rate that requires. Nvidia have bought 3% of 5nm. Interesting. I wonder if that means that AMD will have bought something like 6. Oh, that's a very nice car, Simon. Very nice indeed. Does that get to go out on the roads very much? We got the North 60 down to 4.9 as our best. Nice, nice. That's about the same as my S4 stock. I kicked the PC and it turned on for 5 seconds and turned off, but it's totally fine now. Yeah, it probably just jogged some connections. It's all good. Paid £290 for 5500 XT. Feels like a bargain right now. Like, yes, but also definitely no. I'm alright, and you? Yeah, not too bad. I've been I was a bit I suppose burned out a little bit earlier. It's been a lot of work this week, but doing alright. The world of custom cars reminds me of building PCs. Both communities love specs and tailoring the look of their projects. Indeed they do. It's a very similar world, I think. And 5% for AMD. Ah, that makes sense. How do you check the sequence? So I haven't used either of those programs regularly enough for me to give you a good idea. I'm sure that Google will be able to help you there. Generally speaking, so I don't know how Filmora does it. I'm fairly certain that in DaVinci Resolve you still do have to you still do have a sequence as such rather than just a project, but maybe check under project headings or whatever else. AMD.com had another drop of 6000 series earlier this evening and I missed it again. Ah, unlucky. That's unfortunate. I think they're still selling out like crazy. Well, obviously. What's the most exciting part of your career? Gosh, I don't know. I think the first Computex I went to was fantastic. I got to hang out with Wendell a fair bit. Got to travel around the show floor, travel around Taiwan a little bit. Meet all of my UK PR contacts in Taiwan, which was really weird. And yeah, it was just great. It was also the first year, my first few months that I had the arthritis symptoms, and so I walked something like 15 kilometers on I limped 15 kilometers because I was off, like my foot was in absolute agony for that whole day. So that was fun. That was. Joe, I know the feeling. Trust me, when you get there, it'll be great. Was your career at YouTube? Yes, it is. I make, well, I suppose these videos, but the normal videos that you see on the channel, those are my full-time job, and otherwise, I also run a second channel, hence the car talk, which is called At the Wheel, and I also run Locally Links, which is a short linking site that helps improve your life if you use Amazon affiliate links, basically. So all of the links in the description, all of the Amazon ones, even if they say TechteamGB.co.uk / something, they go to Amazon in the background through Locally. You should do that guy, Div from the States, build a rig and a BMW i8 for mining. You'll be mixing both careers. True. How much revenue do you get from Locally? Not all that much right now. We're still writing a load of new features, basically, building it up and pushing it to different creators. When I stream with Streamlabs OBS with 144 Hz and OBS on 60 Hz monitor, the smoothness of 144 Hz becomes jittery. So the if you're capturing at if you're capturing at 60 FPS in OBS, then like Chris says, if you lock it to 120, it should smooth out a lot more. Hello S7, how you doing, man? Oh, we should have some stock of GPUs in Europe. Yeah, that's fair. I think everyone around the world shares your concern, unfortunately. Question: should I use the Trick software with my Sapphire 5500 XT for better FPS? So you can use not NVIDIA. Come on, brain. AMD's driver to auto overclock your card. You go to the performance and then tuning tab, and then you can just press auto overclock, and that's it. It's done. Hello, Mitchell. How you doing, man? I'm alright. I'm getting on. I had a few parcels stuck at customs this week. Getting frustrating. Some companies are too scared to send big money items out. Yeah, I finally got my hard drives, actually. I got them on last Friday. So I have built the NAS, which is sitting over there, and I'm just about done filling the NAS up with all of my existing data, and then I'm going to be cutting some new Ethernet cables, running this 10 gig card in my PC, and then running 10 gig to a 10 gig switch that I have to the NAS, which is also running 10 gig, and then I should be able to edit directly off of it, which is sweet. should I wait to build a PC since prices are higher now, or get a pre-built then upgrade it later? Very good question. So in terms of pricing availability, the idea that buying a pre-built is actually a reasonable idea right now, because a lot of the pre-builts haven't gone up in price at all, despite the sort of component parts relatively going up, mostly because a lot of the manufacturers are like pre-built system integrators use different stock for their pre-builts. So a pre-built from Overclock UK, for example, the graphics cards and CPUs that they use in those pre-builts often don't come in normal retail packaging. They don't come with a fancy box or whatever that you would normally get. They often come basically in pallets, and those are the ones that get put in those pre-built systems. So yeah, that is definitely an option, especially if the pre-built already has reasonable components for what you're after right now. Yeah. I have a question. What do they say when people are using the GPU for mining? So the long story short is that cryptocurrencies are essentially effectively digital currencies that rely on an underlying, I suppose, principle called blockchain. Blockchain is basically a stupidly long list of every transaction that has ever happened. Each of those transactions are a block in the chain, and the way that you trust that transaction is people use their compute power to secure those transactions and get rewarded by, come on brain, given a fee for that, and it also helps generate new currency. Very oversimplified, don't take me at my word there, but the long story short is that by using something like your graphics card, which has a whole load of cores and can do a lot of operations per second, or in this case mega hashes per second, so 10 to the 6 hashes per second, hash functions per second, that you can be effectively rewarded by doing that, doing those calculations, and if you do enough of the calculations, then you earn enough money to offset your electricity cost. And with the graphics cards, especially if you already have them, then it kind of doesn't make much sense to not use them, because it is essentially free money. Right now, that's what mining is in a very loose nutshell. If I have a GPU already, is it a good time to buy every other part now? It's not a bad shout for sure. It kind of depends what you're after, what sort of parts you're planning on using, and if they're in stock and all that jazz. But yeah, if you have a graphics card, everything else is generally doing okay. Hello Dante, how you doing, man? How's the car? I bought an MSI Z490 Gaming Plus and a 10700. I need a power supply and a case. So the case is definitely going to be up to you and what your budget is and all that jazz, but power supply, anything from a name brand, and depends on what your graphics card is, but 650 to 700 watts is probably a good shout. Yeah. I really like the Fantax set of cases. Hello, I just got a Razer Black Widow and I was wondering how I can change the lights on the keyboard. It's normally through the Razer Synapse software. So go to Razer's website, download the Synapse software, and you can find it under the Chroma Studio tab. Asus 3070 Ryzen 4800H or 3060. with more storage. So I would get the 3070 laptop. The storage space you can upgrade later. So yeah, you also asked that last weekend, or last week. Have you ever used Crying Outpace? I actually just did for the giveaway PC. Well, I say just. It was like 2 months. Yeah, 2 months ago. But so I have. Was fine. Didn't really have any issues with it. Seems to be pretty good. I generally use Arctic MX4 for most of my stuff, mostly because that's it's what I have access to. It's what Arctic sent over a whole load of it, and so yeah. William, yes, I saw, which is kind of weird to see, but fair enough. And so yeah, it's what you call it? Come on, brain. With the £100 that you save, you can, buy a second drive or bigger drive or whatever else, Can you boot a gaming PC up without using TV without a monitor? Yes, HDMI works just fine. Did you do a build on a Meshify C? I didn't, but I had friends that did, and they liked it very much. What laptops are they? You didn't actually tell me what ones they are. Edward, so by the spelling of your name, I'm going to guess that you're in the Nordic region. And so basically any power supply that you buy will be a switching power supply, which means that it will work on 230, 240, 220, 110 without much problems. You just had an orb flying in front of you. Ew. Fair enough. Sweden, good guess. Nice. The HDMI doesn't work. Well, there's your problem. No, so what, come on, brain. What graphics card do you have in your PC, and are you connecting to the HDMI port that's on your motherboard or on your graphics card down at the bottom? Strix G15 or the Strix G15? Oh, you misspelled in your thing there. So the higher price one is more expensive because it's newer and using the newer Ryzen 5800H CPU, not the 4800H CPU, and also has a larger SSD. With that said, I would still probably go with the 3070 one if you're planning on gaming, but yeah. War Agent, by the look of your profile picture, are you also from Scotland? Because I've had like way more Scottish people in this in the stream than I've literally ever had before. Also, so that like £1,300 for 1600 XT isn't the most, like, technically its RRP is 1,000, right? So technically speaking, you paid £300 more than actual base retail, but in the very current climate, I think that's probably a pretty reasonable price tag for one of those cards right now. So yeah, have you tried an external GPU for an older laptop? So I haven't before. No, the main limitation is that you really can't what do you call it? You really can't use external GPUs without external PCIe connectivity, which it normally comes in the form of Thunderbolt 3. And so if your system doesn't have Thunderbolt, at least 2, if not 3, then you're not gonna, it's not gonna turn out so well. Can I use a Cooler Master Hyper 212 in a Dell Optiplex 710 MT? Honestly, I don't know what the width of that is. If it's a standard one, honestly, no. I would look for a low profile cooler. That's gonna be more likely to fit than the Hyper 212. Yeah. F7, a lot of Scottish folk in here. Must be the snow. Oh, that's true. So we have 6, I think, if I count right. So hello, including Gavin. How you doing, man? My 3070 is getting bad FPS and Warzone. So 100. At what resolution, Mustafa? Can you review the two? Because a lot of people on forums have the same problem. I can certainly ask, but whether I would be given one, I'm not so sure. Unfortunately, there are no bots, but there are mods here who can give you the link to the Discord, which is also in the description. I'm sorry, yeah, another user. Sadly, it's not a Quake shirt. It's one that I designed in Blender. It's called Particles because it's a particle effect with the TechteamGB logo. Right, 1080p. So that does seem a little on the low side. One thing with Warzone in particular, check your settings again. The reason I say that is because the number of times that I have saved a game setting and then it turns back off again, or turns back on again is very, very common. So check the settings to see what it's actually running at, and try lowering them a little, but yeah. Also, Luca suggesting an optimization video. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one. My image setup is grayed out and I don't know how to fix it. Oh, and your Yamaha monitor. So the odds are the reason that the setting is grayed out is because there is another setting blocking you from changing that. So it could be that you're not in a color mode. It could be that you're using FreeSync or perhaps the wrong display connection to allow for that. You need to work out what is blocking you from changing that. The Lenovo L340. I can't say that I've heard of it. Oh, laptop, right. Apparently it's not available. I also don't know what spec it would be in. Hold on. So that definitely looks like a lower spec laptop. I imagine that it will do okay, but you'd probably be struggling for performance there. Laptop was mining too. Laptop is a thing too. It is somehow. Like I understand it's a profitability equation, but at the same time it's frustrating. So if you already have cards, and especially if you aren't already using them, then hypothetically there's no reason why you shouldn't be mining. It will obviously increase your electricity cost bill, but at the same time it will it should be making you a reasonable amount of money, especially with a 3070. Yeah. Um. OS is on a flash, so it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. AMD or Intel and Nvidia or AMD. At the moment, AMD wins on the CPU side, and it's pretty even on the GPU side. I don't know what an a award BIOS is. And yes, that is true. Joe, should I buy a Razer Viper Mini? I haven't used the Viper Mini. I do now have a what you call it? A Viper 8K, the proper one, not the pre-production one that I had before. So that's pretty interesting. That I also haven't taken it out of the box yet, but we'll get to that. So I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I haven't tested that one, so I can't tell you. Playing with a B550 board at the moment kind of makes me think X570 is overkill. Yes. It was kind of the same for B450 and for B350. You really don't need an X series board unless you're me. Another reason I need an X series board is because I run so many damn SSDs. But otherwise, if you only run one or two like M.2 SSDs, then yeah, B450 is fine. You really don't need PCIe Gen 4 right now, so who cares? And yeah, fine. Dominic, you're more than welcome to ask. I can't guarantee that anyone, including me, will be able to help you, but I'm willing to try. I'm honestly not sure. There should normally be a setting for what do you call it? There should normally be a setting to reset the on-screen menu for a while, like in the list somewhere. That it should be there. If it's not, I'm not too sure, I'm afraid. Rokas, I unfortunately don't know what a award BIOS is, so I can't help you too much. Thoughts on the need for a DAC? So it mostly depends on what audio devices you're running. If you're running USB, then obviously no. If you're running speakers, then again it depends on what kind. If you're using sort of basic ones, then no. If you're using some proper like studio monitors or something like that, then probably. And in terms of headphones, if you're using you know, some nice, I don't know, planar magnetics or whatever, or I don't know, Sennheisers like HC650s or something, then you might benefit from a DAC of sorts. Maybe the shit audio, that's SCHIIIT, I think it is, or is it IIT? Anyway, one of those two. That might be a decent shout. And yeah, like generally speaking, you don't need one. It's only if you have a specific set of what do you call it? Like good enough sort of hardware to need it in terms of speakers or headphones. That's what I was trying to say. Come on, brain. If I'm only interested in gaming performance, does it make sense to buy a 3060 laptop with an i7 or wait a few more months until the 4800H laptops are available? So the main thing that I would consider is not necessarily whether the 4800H laptops in and of themselves are like the 4800H in and of itself is faster, but more the thermal output that you can you would have to be dealing with that 10875H versus the 5800H one. The more heat that your CPU outputs, the less heat that your laptop's cooler can handle, and therefore the less heat that your GPU can output at the same time, while gaming. So yeah. Is it right that when it comes to cores and threads, Ryzen and core speed Intel? That's not quite a sentence, so I'm not sure what you mean. When I play on my PC, I put my DVI in, it just gives me a black screen. DVI is damn old, man. It depends on a lot of things. If you have another DVI cable, try that, and make sure that if you're using a DVI D port, that you're using a DVI D cable. He means single core speed for Intel, multi-core speed for Ryzen. So with the Ryzen 5000 generations, generation CPUs, it's not a the Ryzen chips are now faster than Intel in raw single-threaded performance, and in gaming performance, they're a pretty good match, if not slightly faster. Unfortunately, I have not, Mustafa. Joe, technically, I believe you are, but in practice, I won't hold it against you. Sincerely, McDonald's. I have, William, and it's terrible. 1650 versus RX 5700. It's been a very long time since I've looked at the performance of that, so off the top of my head, I want to say that the 1650 or 1650 Super is faster. I think so, yeah. Do I sing? Ever so occasionally, mostly when I play guitar. In practice, it's not great. Probably don't want to hear it. RX 570 period, fair play. Like I said, been a long time, so if that is the faster card, sweet. The RX 570 is faster on average compared to 1650. Okay, I must be thinking about the 1650 Super then. What happens if you remove the fan from a heatsink? So the short answer is that fans fans are just tools to move airflow over a heatsink. So taking the fan away, as long as you can still provide a reasonable amount of airflow that the fan would normally provide to said heatsink, it's fine. Or if you detune the components such that it doesn't produce as much heat, and therefore the passive cooling ability of the heatsink is enough to handle the heat output, that's also fine. But if you just take the fan off and hoping that it quietens down, it's just gonna thermal throttle or shut down. Joe. Yeah, exactly. Are the thermals good? Good with Strix laptops? I haven't tested this generation, so I can't tell you for sure. Although the Zephyrus Duo that I have in at the moment, which has the 3080 and the 5900HX, is pretty sweet. So yeah. Sure. I'll let you try it first. You can't retract it from the screen-ish. Is it worth adding more fans in a micro ATX case if my GPU temps are a bit high? It can be worth trying, especially if you go with cheaper fans to start off with, essentially. But yeah, like it's a good shout. Depends on the graphics card configuration as well. How it's laid out, but yeah, could definitely be worth it. The internet never forgets. It's immortalized. Should I opt for NZXT M22 or Arctic Freezer 120, as they're both pretty similar in price? From what I've heard, the Arctic Freezer is a very good cooler, very good option for you. So, yeah. If you get an Intel Mac, don't worry. You don't worry about temps because they're just always bad. Yeah, I should probably at this point, my friend Dan should probably jump in the chat and confirm that for us, because yeah, the number of times that he tells me he's doing the most basic of activities and his CPU's running at 105 degrees Celsius. Let's just say it's more occasions than I can count on both hands and feet and someone else's. Oh dear. Yeah. Right, and with that, I'm gonna leave you to the week. Thank you guys for sticking in. And as always, I do these every Thursday night, 8 PM UK time. So if you got any more questions or want to hang out next week, feel free to pop by. As always, more videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And as usual, there's also a load of links in the description of the stream if you want to check them out and buy from Amazon or Overclockers or these t-shirts. Whatever else. And yeah, any questions, feel free to jump in the Discord, which is also linked in the description down below. Other than that, thanks.